The sun beat down on the fields of Bethlehem. David, a young shepherd, watched his flock. He was small, but brave. He feared nothing, not even the lion that prowled at night. One night, the lion came. It stalked a lamb, its eyes gleaming. David grabbed his sling. He whirled it above his head. A stone nestled in the leather pouch. The stone shot out, finding its mark. The lion roared in pain and fled. David had faced death and won. David wasn't just strong, he was also kind and gentle. He played his harp, its music echoing through the hills. The sheep would lie peacefully, soothed by the melodies. David dreamt of a life beyond the fields, a life of adventure and purpose. Little did he know, destiny was coming for him. A destiny that would change everything. One day, a man visited Bethlehem. His name was Samuel, a seer, a prophet of God. He was old, his beard long and white, but his eyes held a youthful fire. Samuel was on a mission. God had chosen a new king for Israel, and Samuel was to anoint him. He called for Jesse, David's father, and his sons. One by one the sons came before Samuel. They were strong and tall, but none were chosen. "Is there not another?" Samuel asked. Jesse hesitated. "There is one more, my youngest. He tends the sheep." David came in, his face flushed from the sun. Samuel looked at the young shepherd. He saw courage in his eyes, kindness in his smile. This was the one. Samuel took a vial of oil and anointed David's head. The air filled with a sweet fragrance, a sign of God's blessing. David was to be king, but his journey was just beginning. Word of David's bravery spread. It reached the palace of King Saul. Saul, a troubled man, consumed by anxieties, needed someone to soothe his troubled mind. David was summoned. He arrived at the palace, harp in hand. He was ushered into the king's chamber. King Saul sat on his throne, his face etched with worry. David played. His music filled the room, chasing away the shadows. As David played, a figure appeared in the doorway. It was Princess Michal, Saul's daughter. Her eyes were drawn to the young shepherd. She saw the courage beneath his humble demeanor, the fire in his eyes as the music flowed from his fingertips. A connection sparked between them, a shared glance in the flickering candlelight. The music stopped, but the memory of that moment lingered in their hearts. David became a regular visitor to the palace. He played his harp, soothing Saul's troubled soul. He also shared his knowledge of warfare, for even as a shepherd, David had defended his flock from wild beasts. His wisdom impressed the king's advisors. They saw in him a leader, a strategist. Saul, however, felt a growing unease. David's popularity grew with each passing day. The people loved him for his courage, his humility, and his music. One day, the Philistines, Israel's enemies, attacked. David fought bravely, his skill with a sling unmatched. He returned victorious, the people hailing him as a hero. Saul watched from the palace walls, his heart twisting with envy. He saw the love the people had for David, a love that seemed to elude him. Fear took root in his heart, a fear that festered into something darker. The Philistine army gathered again. Among them was a giant named Goliath. He stood over 9 feet tall, his armor gleaming. He challenged the Israelites, his voice booming across the valley. "Send me a man to fight," he roared. "If he kills me, we will be your servants, but if I prevail, you will be our slaves." Fear gripped the Israelite army. No one dared to face the giant. David, however, was undeterred. He stepped forward, his sling in hand. "I will fight this Philistine," he declared. Saul, desperate, agreed. He offered David his armor, but it was too heavy. David refused. He picked up 5 smooth stones from the stream bed and faced the giant. Goliath laughed. "Am I a dog," he bellowed, "that you come at me with sticks?" David's response echoed through the valley. "You come against me with sword and spear, but I come against you in the name of the Lord Almighty." David faced Goliath. The giant charged, his sword raised high. David reached into his pouch, selected a stone, and loaded his sling. He whirled it above his head, his eyes fixed on his target. With a mighty heave, he released the stone. It shot through the air, finding its mark. The stone sank into Goliath's forehead. The giant stumbled, his eyes wide with surprise, and crashed to the ground. The Philistines, seeing their champion fall, panicked and fled. David, victorious, stood over Goliath, the giant's own sword in his hand. The Israelite army roared in victory, their fear replaced by jubilation. David returned a hero, his name on everyone's lips. He had faced the impossible and emerged triumphant. His bond with Michal deepened, their shared smiles reflecting the unspoken feelings in their hearts. But danger lurked in the shadows, fueled by the envy of a king.